Chapter 13. Ceremony. Each of the descendants of Zacharias receives a birth blessing 7 days after being born and a blessing at 18 on the eve of their birthday. It is a test of faith to believe in the words bestowed, both the mundane and the fantastic, the seemingly impossible and the expected. Deity guides and tests each Estolian in this way. Travers Montague Zacharian, Capitulo 60. By the time they left the palace, the sun was dropping rapidly toward the horizon. They traveled in open-topped carriages from the palace to the cathedral. Both Zeke and Isaiah helped her out of the carriage. Isaiah was wearing a crown that was less ornate than his father's. Both men wore heavily embroidered capes and had swords in scabbards. Zeke dressed like his uncle, wore the same green and purple ecclesiastical robes. His expression was solemn, serious, dignified. The cathedral was filled with Estolians who were there to witness the ceremony. 4 individuals that Lilane met earlier were seated to one side. The 2 men were nearly identical to look at, except that one was seated in an ornate wheelchair. Both men had their wives at their sides. The one in the wheelchair was Isaiah's grandfather, Xavier, and his identical twin was the former king. She was struck, yet again, by the lively interest and life in their eyes. Age and infirmity might be taking their toll on the older generation, but that didn't seem to have any impact on their intellect and awareness. Isaiah led Lilane up onto the platform and had her sit on a gilt stool. She had been told she should sit with her hands settled on her knees, her head bent, eyes closed. She felt strangely confident as she sat there. Zeke and Theo placed their hands on her head and she listened raptly to their rich language. She often forgot English was not the language of Estolia since they spoke mostly in English around her. While Theo's rich voice echoed through the silent cathedral, she tried to get a sense of the language. Like Spanish but with its own unique style and flavor. Melodic and exotic. If she could have understood the blessing, she would have heard.
In this transcendent period of knowledge without wisdom, it is not enough to keep the promise of Zacharias, nor partake of the blessings promised by deity. This daughter of Estolia will have a pivotal role in Estolia's future. 3 sons will bless her womb, 1 to rule Estolia, 1 to safely keep her soul, and 1 to act as a catalyst of change in the greater world. This woman is worthy to keep the soul of the king. Only through the salvation of the planet will Estolia remain safe. This flame-haired woman will have a lasting impact on the nation. As a catalyst of change, her 3rd son will be instrumental in the rebirth of a golden era of global cooperation. Though her trials have already surpassed those experienced by any other queen of Estolia, she has come out of those tribulations pure and able to keep the soul of our future king. She is worthy of the blessings promised to Zacharias and Estoliana. The strength she will bring cannot be measured. Her compassion and empathy will bring solace to many. Through her place in Estolian society, she will enrich all who touch her life. This gentle woman is a worthy successor to Estoliana. Through her impact, the keeper will discover within himself a greater power than any other keeper, including Zacharias. This worthy daughter of Estolia will be remembered among the greatest of all our queens. The blessings of deity upon her and her posterity are as bright as the aura that confirms each Kaylee, as bright as her fiery hair. She will try the faith of many in the crucible of their inner convictions and strengthen their faith through that trial by fire. Deity commands that all who hear or read this blessing remember, above other considerations, that this daughter of Estolia is worthy of this future. She is worthy of the soul that will come into her keeping. All who will interact with this woman, as the woman whom deity proclaims worthy of being the Kaylee of our king, are admonished to remember what has been stated here today. We say these things within the light and sight of deity.
For just a moment after Theo stopped speaking, the entire gathered crowd was utterly silent, perhaps in tribute to the words he could not understand. A subdued murmur filled the cathedral as Zeke gently urged her to her feet. Isaiah escorted her to sit between his mother and sister before returning to stand next to his brother. Theo spoke to the gathered individuals before pulling an ornate gem-encrusted dagger from inside the black sash crossing his chest. He held it aloft and spoke again, briefly. This time his words were aimed at the other individuals on the stage. When he finished speaking, Isaiah responded by holding both of his hands out, palms upward. Theo placed the dagger on them. Next, the king unpinned the black sash from Theo's outfit, bowing before handing it to Theo. The two older men smiled at one another before Theo carefully pinned the sash to Zeke's outfit. He then gestured Zeke towards his brother who held out the dagger. The brothers spoke to each other before the younger man took the dagger, held it aloft, said one final thing, before slotting it within the black sash. Zeke then sat on the same stool that Lelaine had occupied, and Isaiah left the stage to return to sit with her. He put his arm around her, and gave his attention to the events on the stage. Theo placed his hands upon Zeke's head, and gave another blessing. It was as long, or longer than the one she received, and she could feel Isaiah tensing up slightly as it went on for some time.